How's it going, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about why Islam prayer is awesome. Now, this is something that I just recently learned. I've been exploring a little bit of Islam and sort of what value Islam has to offer. Just to give you a little bit of context, I believe that every religion has something to offer and has some value to offer. And so I love exploring different religions and trying to integrate whatever wisdom that I basically get from these religions. And I think they all kind of point to, ultimately, they all kind of have like these threads of truth that they all connect to and point towards. And I think those truths go even beyond religion and to absolute truth itself. And I do believe there is absolute truth. But, anyways, that's just some context. But yeah, today we're gonna, again, like I said, we're gonna talk about why Islam prayer is awesome. I've been praying for a little bit now, probably I want to say like, I don't know, maybe like 3 years. And usually I just do like my own sort of prayers that I've learned from Christianity. And I made a video about a few days ago talking about why Islam and Christianity can coexist. So I'm not saying either one is better. I think they both point towards, the same thing, and I think they both have value, and I like to take from each of them. So, so yeah, I've explored a lot of Christianity. I still have more to explore, especially when it comes to the prayer, how they pray in Christianity. But recently, just been exploring Islam. So yeah, in Islam, there's this really cool, um, yeah, just this really cool, I guess, technique or idea, or I just kind of love the whole concept on how they approach prayer. So, so yeah, let's get into it. So, as you can see, oh, it's kind of covering, but it says there's 5 daily prayers, and so yeah, they pray 5 times a day, which I find really admirable and really cool. Because think about it. I mean, these guys are thinking about God. If they're a true Muslim and devotional, they are thinking about God 24/7. I mean, you're talking about dawn, noon, one in the afternoon, a prayer in the sunset, and a prayer at night. I mean, dude, that's pretty cool, man. To be able to have God in your mind so often and thank God and give glory to God so often, I think is really cool and really inspirational in my opinion because sorry, because I think it's important to keep God in mind and always remember about God, if you do believe in God. And I think this will really help you throughout your life, not only to carry and go through the hard times in life, but also just to be happy and grateful that you exist. So I find this aspect really cool. I've known this before, but I just felt like I should just add it anyways for people that might not know. And then here we have this sort of kind of, basically this is the prayer ritual that they go through. And what I find really cool about Islam is that they actually give you a step-by-step guide and basically, yeah, a step-by-step guide on how to pray. This is different from Christianity, where I don't think Christianity, at least from what I know, gives you an exact way to pray. But in Islam, there is literally an exact way to pray. They tell you the exact verses, the exact quotes to recite, and the exact amount of times you have to recite it. And also, as you can see here, they also do different poses as well. And it goes step one, step two, step three. So there's different poses, and it's basically a whole system. And for me, I really love this idea because I've been sort of used to in Christianity kind of being sometimes lost when it comes to prayer, which I think is normal and okay. And like I said, perfectly fine. They just have a different style of praying. Um, but I can really appreciate just being straight up clear and giving you like the answer and the manual, like, hey, like, okay, you want to know how to pray? Here, this is how you do it. I can really appreciate that clarity and and yeah, and just the directness from that. And so I find that really cool and it was really eye-opening for me to see how they approach praying in a different way. It really opened my mind, and like I said, I can really appreciate this. And now, something that I really love about this and that I took away was, for one, I've heard once before that when you pray on your knees, apparently it's more effective. And I didn't understand why, but I think I sort of connected the pieces. And well, I really connected the pieces when, I see they go from standing position here to then bowing here in step four, and then step eight, or rather step six, actually already here. They kind of bow down and put their head on the floor, and yeah. And so for me, I think that when I heard that one time when that person said that prayer is more effective when you're on your knees, I think it has to do with this idea of surrendering to God, being humble uh, when you are talking to God, and kind of grounding yourself again that there is something ultimately higher, uh, a higher power that is ultimately taking care of you and guiding you, and that you kind of, lay in the higher power's hands. And so, but here I got this really big reminder in when I did this step six, and I'll go down. I'll explain it now why. But I also like here. Look, they even have like the arms crossed, which I gotta try this one. But to me, there's something that I like about this one. I can't even tell you what it is, but I actually gotta try this one, um, and see how that goes. And again, some Muslims may be against me sort of integrating maybe the practice in my own way without me necessarily being a Muslim, but I am gonna take what they have to offer, and at the end they were all praying, I think, to the same higher power, and so yeah, I just like taking from different religions, and I think it's really useful to learn things from different religions. So, anyways, but yeah, this one I would like to practice and try it out and see how it feels. This one is the one that really struck me as interesting. Now, as you can see, they all kind of. I also find cool that they pray all together, in a line. That's really cool. I think that adds a communal aspect to it, where they have a community of people going to pray. I think it's super cool because, I think community just makes things always better, and it can definitely help in your spiritual journey. And so, but here is where, I really got amazed, and this is the prayer that I tried, because it's like, okay, I've been trying to get my prayers to be better and work on it. And so I tried this technique, and I was watching a video on how to do it, and apparently, right, they say, for one, you have to put your toes touching the ground, right? So if we go back to this image, you have to put, if you can see here where my mouse is at, you have to put your toes touching the ground like that, how he's doing. Then you also have to put your hands on the ground, and you have to put your nose on the ground and your forehead on the ground all at the same time. And so, and that is pretty much the technique for this one. And then you recite a quote, right? So I tried this, and I kind of didn't recite the quote that they tell you to recite, but I kind of just did my own prayer, but just in this stance. And let me tell you, it was really effective. I felt like I had a really good prayer. I feel like it really did its thing. And what I mean by that is, like, it felt so humbling. And why is that? Well, when they tell you to, put your hands on the ground, bowing in itself is already a humbling thing, right? You're just kind of surrendering, giving your respects. But when you're on the ground and you put your hands on the ground, toes on the ground, nose and forehead all on the ground at the same time, it's like you're almost in full submission, right? Like, you can't even, when I did this, it's like, for one, you can't move your hands or feet anywhere, right? So then you're like kind of stuck in place. But then not only that, when you put your head, your forehead, and your nose on the ground and they can't get off, you can't even look left or right. So you're just like in complete vulnerability and complete surrender. And this I absolutely love, right? Because they're actually in Islam enforcing this. Like, hey, this is how you have to do it. And when you're in that position and you're forcing yourself to do it, you're like, wow, like I'm basically at the hands of God completely right now. And for me, I love it. And I think it really reminds me that again just connects me to God and reminds me of the humility that we have to have with God and how much God is controlling everything, because when you're in this position you can't do anything but just trust in God. And yeah, I absolutely love this. I think it's amazing. And again, like I said, I think the thing that I find really humbling about this stance is that you have to put your nose and your forehead on the floor. Like that's like ultimate submission. Like, forehead, nose on the floor. And like I said, you can't even move left or right. Like you can't look left or right. You're just stuck facing one way. So it almost feels like God has like a grip on you and is like, for like worship me, which I find really humbling, and just like feels like complete surrender to God or Allah. And so I absolutely love that, and that's what really struck with me when I prayed like this, and I really really enjoyed praying like this. And they also say that when you're in this stance that you're closest to Allah. And I find that to have a lot of merit, because that would make sense. You're in full submission. You can't move, and you're completely bowed down and on the floor, bowing down to God or Allah. And so, yeah, um, I love it. I find it super cool. I'm gonna start, praying like this now and see how it goes. Like I said, I also want to try this sort of handcuff thing. I feel like, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where the humility aspect comes from. It's like just handcuffing the hands and just, you know, being in a restrained position because you're submission to God. Maybe that's where the value from this stance or posture or technique comes from. So, anyways, yeah, I just felt like sharing this because I thought it was really cool and I enjoyed learning it, and I felt like it really opened my eyes to see how different people pray in the world, and how different it is basically. And hopefully, maybe you guys got some inspiration out of this, some value, or maybe your perception or your perspective has expanded, whatever it is. Hopefully, you got something out of it. And that's pretty much about it for today, guys. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, y'all.